Welcome to Moonlight Madness. This is the air signs weekly, rising sun, moon, and rising sign for the weekly. So I pulled some cards today and I decided to do air sign because I had a vision about a helicopter and I'm going to say a plane, but the first one was a plane. So this plane was coming down pretty fast and I was in the cockpit. There was not much room and I could see the earth coming quickly at me. So with the vision, I was actually praying in the cockpit to please save me, and I was asking God and angels to please protect me from a certain death. So as I was hurtling to the ground, and I don't know, the speed was astronomical, I saw the plane plow straight into a house, which I thought was really odd. And then I saw myself get up and walk away from it. That was at 1 o'clock in the morning, about a week ago, or 3 to 4 days ago. So then I Googled it at 1 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the afternoon the next day. We got this, I Googled plane crash, and there was an actual plane that went down at Fort Worth, which is exactly near Texas, and it was pretty much 24 hours after, or within the time frame of what I'd seen. So that's what I saw, and I'm thinking that's just a really bizarre coincidence, or I was getting a strong message. But the two people that nearly died but actually walked away, which was a miracle, were two boys. One was a military training officer, and the other one was one was the instructor, and the other one was the trainer. And they both walked away. And when they ejected, because I saw them walk away from it, one of them landed in the telegraph lines. So that was kind of odd. So that's why I'm doing air signs, because I kind of figured that was a miracle for A. And B, I was so on the money, it wasn't funny. And then I had another vision about a leg. And the leg had like a thing attached to it, like a piece, like on the knee or on the thigh, like a intravenous drip or something. Or it wasn't like it was like a prosthetic limb. I've got prosthetic limb. So I'm thinking, what does that mean? It makes no sense to me. And so I was watching a movie today on Canopy. And the movie was called Dancing with the Stockmasters Dancing. It was an indie film. It had Marissa Tomei, and it had the guy out of Once Upon a Time, Mr. Gold. And it didn't get to the very end of the movie that she shows herself because she falls in love with this guy that lost his wife through suicide. And her brother and her had gone through some turmoil as well. And she never ever let on what had happened to her till the very end when they got together romantically. And it shows a shot of her leg with this prosthetic limb. So that's what I was shown. And I'm thinking, why was I seeing that? And who was it for? And is it someone I'm going to meet? It was an actual movie that I didn't watch it till this morning. And I just downloaded Canopy. I had no idea that movie was on Canopy. It was just insane. So that's the sort of stuff that I get. And it's kind of like I'm getting it through, literally through the computer, what I was touching. I was getting off. I guess electricity is like anything. It's a medium. It's, you can channel just about anything through, like when we move our muscles, it's a fast twitching muscle. It's usually from a sympathetic viewpoint, like a nervous sympathetic system that works on electricity. And electricity is made from the electricity that's built up in our body through the nervous system and fast twitch muscle groups. So I think, blood, for example, is, a transfusion of all the blood around our bodies is linked to our heart pumping, which is, again, like a pump. So it's like a machine as well. So we're not so different to machines if you think about it like that. And so it kind of makes sense why we're interconnected. So the first card I pulled, and this was for today, is the Princess of Winter. So this is describing the air sign. So you've got a Libra, Aquarian, or Gemini. And then these people can be very helpful. They're very blunt. They're to the point. They speak their truth. They could be an indigo child or an adult indigo child. So these people like to stand up for causes. They could be public speakers. They could be the people that you go to for an MC for your wedding. They can be quite fierce and protective of their loved ones, but they also stand up for the underdog. And they've got political views. They actually all tend to have political views, and some of them should go into law or things like that because they like to argue. My son is a Libran, and him and I battle it out pretty much over every topic that there ever is, and he always thinks his opinion's right. So we sit there and argue. So he once went into a debating team, and the reason he did it is because him and I used to love arguing. And so the debating I thought would be great for him to get his confidence up, and he did. His confidence really built from that. He was struggled with self-esteem issues, so that really helped him get his voice, to find his voice. So sometimes these people deliver messages we don't necessarily want to hear, and it's well-meaning. It's like he's quite a fatherly figure to his mum, and he'll tell me, "Mum, you really need to go and get your shot, or you really need to go and do this," and I'll just go, "Oh yeah, la 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 la," and block my ears out. But he means it. It's coming from a good place. It's coming from a place of concern. But I don't like being told what to do, so I'm very much a rebel, very much an Aquarian, and so we butt heads quite a bit. But we love to talk and we love to argue. So here we've got the Five of Swords, and so the Five of Swords relates to arguments. Like it could also relate to a Fortune 500 company, or it could be involved with a pyramid scheme. There's 5 people that make a business, like the Pentagon. You got 5 major honchos that organise the Pentagon, the president and the vice president and the so-and-so. And so they're all arguing to get their point across over something that's been politically, discussed right now. And at the moment, if you watch the news, we're talking about doing nuclear weapons with America. And so that's a political thing right now. We've picked a side. And so that kind of puts us in a position of, we've made a decision. We're not fence sitting anymore. We've definitely made a decision, which is political. So this could be to do with that. So air signs to do with that as well. A lot of air signs are in politics. In the past, we've got the Justice. And so the Justice card talks about someone who didn't get justice in a situation, or they felt like they weren't heard, or the legal system completely failed them. And so they want to get even. They want to, they want to get back at. They want to rage against the machine because the system did not protect them. It actually hurt them and put them at risk, and did not extradite that person, that child, that whatever, from a situation that should have been fixed a long time ago. And the system is broken in child protection. That's my belief. And then we've got the Hermit. And the Hermit card is to do with an air sign probably hermiting a bit at the moment. This is to do with past stuff. So maybe some air signs have gone through something really graphic, upsetting, with 5 people or 5 family members. And so they've gone into a retreat. It's a forced self-isolation. It's a bit like COVID, only it's been done by separating the parties because they weren't getting along. A bit like the states, when they can't find a solution, they separate, and they all have to come to their own decision on things like, the state of daylight saving and restrictions is all about states not agreeing with each other and making their own rules. And then you've got the Lovers. Now the Lovers also represents, you might be someone who isn't a military person because it's represented by the guy in the uniform. And so the guy in the uniform is met his true match. The Lovers is true love. It's long lasting. It's choices made from the heart and a return to good health. So you may be in a relationship, or you might be trying to work out something in a relationship. It says that love is still alive in that relationship, but you need to just keep working at it. If you are single, you may meet someone that is in the military or ex-military that will come into your life, and they will change your world. They will be your perfect counterpart. And what I've read there, what I've picked up, is that they come across as either a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn energy. So you've got here 2 perfect counterparts. They may be a Virgo with a Taurus moon, which is what I'm getting here. They could be a Taurus with a Virgo moon, or something like that. But there's definitely a counterpart. So if he's the Emperor, because the Emperor came up next, then he's meant his Empress. They're the perfect counterparts to each other. They mirror each other. It's like the High Priestess and the Hierophant. Then you've got the Ace of Winter. The Ace of Winter is saying you're getting downloads. So air signs, you're getting downloads when you're asleep, like I do. You're getting future events being downloaded to you, so you can do something about it, or you can warn someone, or you can predict something, like I think I did about a week ago. I think I pulled the Tower card, which talks about natural disasters, earthquakes, tsunamis, fire, unexpected things, which has happened with the riots, which is kind of like an earthquake of its own. And they'd had the earthquake, so that's the Tower card. I got downloads about that tower, and all this rubble, and I couldn't figure out what that was about, but that's about that as well as the plane. So it says here, you need to communicate clearly and accurately and amazing new ideas that should be implemented. So any challenges that you have, you've got to do them not in a harsh tone, but with a compassionate tone when you're delivering something that may be painful for someone else to hear. That's the ace. It's also about choosing your words carefully. It's also about cutting, injecting. Small surgery can be for some people, like tooth surgery or I don't know, a removal of something like a mole. That's like a small surgery, so it can also point to that. And the Ace of Swords also represents Ophelia, the Lady of the Lake holding the sword, Excalibur. So that's that representation of someone who helped people like the magician to see what he needed to do to help coach King Arthur and make him the king that he was meant to be. So that's what the Ace of Swords can represent as well. The Princess of Swords is Excalibur as she's become a queen, and her ability is to cut through fallacies, to cut through falsehoods, and to give the right sword to the person that had the purest of hearts. So it's saying to you, if you give your candle, your sword, you must give it to the person who has the noblest intentions towards you, who is not there to play games like a king of wands. A king of wands wants to share his wand with everything and everyone. You want a king of pentacles who's a solid person who wants to share his coin or his his empire. His emperor is an empire builder. He wants to share his empire with his empress, because his empress is already abundant. She's got her own money going on. She's got her own worth, her own value. She knows her worth. She knows her value. She's not just going to hand over some loosely based bit of fun on the side. She's not someone you take on as a fling. She's someone you marry or you leave her alone. And then you've got balance. So the balance card is to do with consideration and merging everyone's viewpoints to a better solution. This is to do with a legal matter, like what they were saying about the signing of the nuclear weapons. This is a nuclear matter. It's a state of emergency. So it's talking about keeping in vigilance and making all the right moves based on the right things and not being too heavy-handed. So not using all your male energy, which is the white energy, but using the female, which is the red energy. So it talks about you balancing both of those energies within yourself and coming to a decision that is both compassionate but protective, and not rushing not rushing the decision, because it was a big decision for you to make. In finding a partner for yourself, you would have to try and think about the legalities and whether they were the right person to fit the role as the empress. Because if you're the emperor, then you want the right empress. And if you're the empress, then you want the right emperor. So that's the perfect match. And then you've got the sun. This is an extremely happy union. The sun is the best card to get in the zodiac. It talks about happiness, talks about learning. You might be going into another course, or you might want to teach, or maybe you've been taught some things, or they will teach you things that you need to learn, or maybe this has been a learning experience and that what you've come out of, your grief about something that you've lost, maybe you'll find your happiness again, because through that grief can come happiness. As the movie I watched today, he found his happiness with someone at the dance school who was Marissa Tomei, and she was someone that he never thought he'd meet because he'd lost his wife. He didn't want to know. He was too heartbroken, but he went there, and it was like he was meant to go there. He got a ticket from the guy dying. He tried to save the guy's life that was in a road accident, who was going to meet the love of his life from 30 years ago when he was about 12, and he wanted to go back to say, look, I'm here, I should have pursued you. And he dies, but he tells his story in the ambulance, and the guy who stops to help him is the baker, and that's played by the guy from the Once Upon a Time, and he tells his story about his grief and his wife. And the ticket that the guy gives him is how he meets this Marissa Tomei and finds out about her grief and their loss of their father and their loss of things that meant a great deal to them. So that was a really good story on Canopy. So I definitely recommend it. I can't remember the name of it exactly, but it's on Canopy and it's under comedy. So here we're going to pull a oracle card. This is from the deck, and the deck I'm using today is the one I've always used, the Fairy Tarot by Doreen Virtue. Oops. And I'm using the Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette-Baron-Reid. and the Enchanted map by Colette-Baron-Reid. So I'll just, it's not the one I think. So we're coming to spring, so we've gone the spring equinox, so we've just gone in through that, and the full moon on the 23rd. So things have been kind of everywhere, and I guess that's what happened with the plane crash, and then we had the riots, and then after the riots we had the earthquake and like all these things because we had the eclipse, and the eclipse was into, I think, going from Aquarius into Libra, which we've just gone into Libra, but that was the Aquarian eclipse because that was the moon and the star pattern that was available at the time. And we've pulled out, Ride the Wave. This is a really good card. So the Ride the Wave is number 14, and I'll pull out another card. Some of you might be surfers, or some of you might do it as a pastime, or you could be riding on the wave of your own success. Maybe you're getting well known for whatever it is you do, whether you're a singer or a actor, or you might be in politics and people are singing your praises about handling a situation. But yeah, it talks about riding the wave of success. We've got moon, which is interesting because we've gone into Pisces moon, I think, this week, going into Pisces, from Libra to Pisces. So Pisces is to do with everything hidden. It's ripple effect, it's under the surface, but you can't quite understand why you know these things, but you do, so your intuition's heightened. So at this time, the people that are very psychic are going to be picking up stuff quickly and seeing things long before they occur, so they can jump out of the way and not be impacted by their intuition, so they can rise to see another day. So we've got, this is the next one, this is the Wisdom of the Oracle. Ooh, no, that's not almost going to come out. This one, I bought this deck because I was trying to get the Sexual Magic Tarot deck, because I saw that on YouTube and I was trying to find it, and it looked like this. It had I thought those two symbols. Turns out there's another deck that has a similar thing, but it has a different symbol on it, and that's the one I wanted. But it was for love readings. This is actually a general read, but for actual love readings, I wanted to have that deck for that. So maybe I have to invest in the Sexual Magic one. Come to the edge. It's about a risk-taking. Speaking of risk-taking, my Libran, who's turning 22 in a couple of days' time, he's out skateboarding, and I bought him a helmet, and I bought it for him about a year ago, and I'm thinking, that's great, he's got his helmet. No, he's not got his helmet because COVID happened. It's at his nan's house. So I'm thinking he's going to have an accident. Oh my God, he's such a daredevil. And he's talking about wanting to do snowboarding. I'm like, seriously, really? You just want to go and break every bone in your body? You really want to go and do that? I really don't want him to do that, but he's a daredevil. He likes to feel the thrill. He likes to feel the thrill of the chase. TikTok. Well, that's a time thing. So maybe it's a matter of time before. This has been maybe on a timing, something to do with this relationship could not move forward because of a timing thing. Maybe this person was married, which is the Lover's card, to someone else, and now they're trying to get out of that marriage and try and date you, but they need to go through the legalities, which makes sense with the Balance card. They've got to finalise the paperwork, the divorce proceedings, or the annulment of the marriage. So we've got here, where are we? Ride the Wave is number 14. And a lot of COVID has broken up a lot of different marriages because of being home all the time and grating on each other's nerves and not being able to leave the house, and intense emotions, and domestic violence would have risen, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on at the moment. You can be assured that you're entering a time when you can ride the wave of abundance. The tide has turned and you can put your surfing skills to the test. Everything you know, all your talents coupled with all your hopes and dreams, will carry you forward. People and circumstances have come out of the ocean of potential and possibility to take shape in a wave of spectacular activity. Know that you're definitely on the right path. So that's good. You're on the right path, air signs, or air cross watchers for the air signs. And we've got Moonlight, that's 51. I think this is a beautiful card. I've always liked it. It looks like she's a belly dancer or something like that. But it's a really nice imagery. I think the back, the nape of the neck is always something, you know, for a woman. I think it's very important to have a really nice form. I've been told yoga helps with the nape of the neck because it helps you to move your neck around and shape those areas you normally wouldn't get to if you were in the gym. The gym will only bulk you up, it won't lengthen and stretch out those muscles. And yoga is really good if you do strength training. You should do some yoga after to, unwind the muscles that have been quite tensed up from pulling and lifting weights. I like to use stretchy bands myself. The stretchy bands that just help to lengthen and elongate rather than build muscle. Because muscle has memory, and if you overdo it, you just build up too big. For a lady, it's not an attractive thing. Moonlight beckons. Come and trust your intuition to lead you into places that may not seem even logical. Your hunches will be right on target. Resist second-guessing yourself, for your alternative perception is equally sharp right now. You can see beyond the surface of things and truly read between the lines. This is a good time to use oracle cards or other systems of divination to gain information. Remember that the language of intuition is a symbolic one. It comes subtly through a hunch or a tingling or a clear sound or an animal or an object crossing your path. Spirit is sending you messages to help you now. Success is yours if you follow the signs. And I've got this black cat that crossed my path. Well, he doesn't cross my path. He sits at the door and I beckon him to say hello. He doesn't cross in front of me, he just sits to the side of me. And that's the cats usually represent intuition. And usually when they say a witch has a familiar, well, a witch will always have a cat around her because that's what cats do. They intuit and they see the dead. So they are like a medium, I guess, in a way. That's why mediums are they should have a cat. That's what I think. We've got TikTok. 30. Most cats will hear or see things long before they arrive, like the dog will bark before someone comes to the front door because they just pick up on scent. Not even a scent with a cat, it's more just an intuitive knowing. TikTok, timelessness. It's definitely divine timing. It's talking about a relationship that's divine timing. Immeasurable time. When humans created time, everything changed and contracted. People have come to look at life in a linear way, imagining that the past is behind them and the future is ahead of them. But what if that isn't true? What if everything, creativity, beauty, chaos and order were happening now in a glorious timelessness? You have all the time in the world to co-create the life you desire. So release your agenda. Let go of your need to shape each moment to your expectations, knowing that what is yours will never be withheld from you. Miracles are here right now and always show up when you need them. Right on time. Love the fulfillment of desire, and even the body's reproductive cycles have their own timetable. Some things are preordained and cannot be coerced. Everything has its season. It's divine and appropriate timing, especially when it comes to matters of the heart. Remember that you always have enough time for love, to find it, to nurture it, to give and receive it. Its clock is eternal and ticks according to the beating of your heart. In perfect rhythm. Isn't that wonderful to know? Love is always right on time. And come to the edge. That's the 36. That's about the risk-taking. 36, and I put that more with the military bit. I think that's to do with that. So big things are happening in the planet at the moment. Big major shifts. And I think everyone's sensing it. The cats are out not late at night, early than most. And I see the dogs barking quite a bit. So something's afoot. Something is definitely shifting and turning. Courage, taking a leap of faith, overcoming fear and accepting risk. Facing the unknown is the only choice you really have right now if you want to progress. So for those of you who are control freaks, I would be one of them. We can't control everything. My son's a control freak too. It's okay to be afraid. Now is the time to take a risk that is not calculated, to feel the exhilaration as you ready yourself for a leap of faith. Spirit is present, so let go of fear. You are called to express your true self. Listen to your heart and soul, not your head. Come to the edge and discover that you can fly. You must step into the unfamiliar so that you may find your miracles. It's scary to be truly intimate with someone, to allow him or her to see all of you, especially the parts you've been keeping hidden and protected. Now is the time to take the risk and let yourself be seen, truly seen. It's important that you speak up, voice what you need, state who you are, say what you hope for. This is not the time to play it safe, but to take a leap of faith. Here I'm saying don't do risk-taking things, and this is saying the opposite. So it says here, you will be glad you did. If you're seeking a relationship that the same applies, take one step towards the goal, and they will deliver what you truly desire. So maybe a big risk is sometimes needed every now and then, because being, okay, you've got here the Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, they're a more cautious star sign. They don't jump in. They make a map. They find a backup plan. They find several backup plans before they jump in. So if you're going to meet up with someone like that, then they're going to be less likely to take a risk, where you might be more of a risk taker if you're the air sign, the Libra, Aquarian and Gemini. And it says here, yeah, so it says here, take the steps, the results will be amazing. So hopefully that resonates with someone out there who is a Aries, Gemini or Aquarian.